Thank you, viewer, for joining us on Unity Global News. Today is Tuesday, 17th October 2023, equivalent to the 3rd of Rabiul Thani 1445 after Hijrah. And these are the headlines of the stories. Federal government proposes 26.01 trillion for 2024 budget. Akpabio removed me, planning to remove Orji Kalu for others, Abo alleges. Mob lynches Delta Police Inspector before wife and children on the foreign scene. Some acts at pro-Palestinian marches in the UK not acceptable, says Suna. While in sports, Super Eagles defeat Mozambique, secure first friendly win in 5 years. Those were the headlines, and for their details, my name is Shoaibu Doro. The Federal Executive Council, FEC, on Monday proposed the sum of 26.01 trillion for the 2024 fiscal year to be submitted to the National Assembly. The government said it was working towards ensuring that the January to December budget cycle is maintained and that the 2024 budget is passed and signed before December 31, 2023. The Minister of Budget and Planning, Atiku Bagudu, made the disclosure at the end of council meeting presided over by President Bola Tinubu at the council chamber presidential villa in Abuja. Briefing State House correspondents at the end of the FEC alongside his colleagues. Bagudu said the council had approved the 2024 to 2026 medium-term expenditure framework (MTEF) and fiscal strategy papers (FSP). He explained that the executive is required by the Fiscal Responsibility Act to present to the National Assembly ahead of a budget presentation a document which will provide the medium-term economic outlook for the economy. He said FEC made assumptions about reference price for the price of crude oil, which is at $73.96 exchange rate, which is at $73.96. Exchange rate is put at $700. Oil production of 1.78 million barrels per day. Debt service to go up 8.25 trillion, while inflation is put at 21% and GDP growth at 3.76%. President Bola Tinubu's administration has moved the Federal Executive Council meeting from Wednesday to Monday. The Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, disclosed this while briefing State House correspondent shortly after the FEC meeting held at the presidential villa in Abuja. President Tinubu has only held 2 FEC meetings since he inaugurated his cabinet in August. The second FEC meeting held on Monday also witnessed the swearing-in of 3 additional ministers who were recently screened by the National Assembly. The Minister of Information noted that the FEC meeting may not hold regularly, especially if there are no urgent issues to be discussed. Under the administration of his predecessor, President Muhammadu Buhari, the FEC meetings were held on Wednesdays. Today is International Day for the Eradication of Poverty. The day is celebrated annually on October 17. It is aimed at eliminating poverty entirely by creating the conditions for everyone to live with dignity. The theme for this year's International Day for the Eradication of Poverty is Decent Work and Social Protection, putting dignity in practice for all. According to a multidimensional poverty index by the National Bureau of Statistics, the NBS, released in November 2022, the number of Nigerians living in poverty stands at over 133 million, representing 63% of the nation's population. Highlighting on why more people are falling into poverty in Nigeria, Executive Director of the Clean Foundation, Mr. Gad Peter Shamaki, said bad governance, inflation, fuel subsidy removal, and the rate of insecurity in the country all contributed significantly to the issue. He advised government to be proactive in tackling insecurity in the country and also support small-scale businesses so as to reduce the rate of poverty in the country.
And so what government need to do first and foremost, example in Plateau State, is to stabilize the security, is to give people the confidence to run about their businesses without fear or threat, is to pump and make the economy work for everybody. If we're farmers, government should make fertilizer available. The loan interest rate for loan should be reduced. The Bank of Industry, Mortgage Bank, all these adashi that women used to do, we need to encourage it. We need to encourage small-scale businesses.
Also in his submission, Dr. Isa Abdullahi of the Department of Economics and Development Studies, Federal University, Shirye, Gombe State, said the rate of poor people in the country is alarming and leads to high dependency and insecurity.
Large number of poor people means high dependency ratio, because those people who are employed or opportunity to have little with them, who are not that extremely poor, will have a lot of dependence to take care of. Like one person could take care of about 20-30 persons who are dependent on him, and that brings down his own standard of living also. It makes sure that you don't get the required nutrition you get out of the little you have.
Also speaking, a Jos-based philanthropist, Honorable Alhaji Kabiru Garba May Akwai, Chairman May Akwai Charity Foundation, called on government to redesign the system of education in the country by prioritizing skills rather than certificates so as to reduce the rate of poverty and encourage youth to be self-reliant.
What can be done to reduce poverty rate in Nigeria is to redesign the system of education. That will go a long way, because most Nigerians graduated from school without skills that will guarantee their survival. Like what May Akwai Charity Foundation is doing under the leadership of Honorable Alhaji Abubakar Kabiru Garba May Akwai, graduated 70 youth on skills acquisition program within and outside Jos North, Plateau State. In view of this, I call on our youth, who are mostly students, not to rely on acquisition of knowledge, but emphasize blending character of learning.
Nigerians are hoping that those in the helm of affairs, both in public and private sectors, would begin to implement policies that would alleviate their sufferings and promote human dignity and social justice, as reported by our correspondent Bashir Musa. Senator Elisha Abo has alleged that the Senate President Godswill Akpabio plotted his removal by the Court of Appeal. Abo made the allegation at his residence in Abuja on Monday, hours after the Court of Appeal nullified his election into the Senate. The Adamawa senator claimed that Akpabio also has plans to remove the former chief whip of the Senate, Senator Orji Uzakalu, and four other senators for not backing his Senate presidency bid. Abo described the judgment, sacking him as a coup on democracy, calling on his supporters, despite the ruling, to stay calm. The senator insisted that despite the court declaring the People's Democratic Party's Amos Yohana as the winner of the February election, he won the exercise. And still on judicial matters, the president of the Court of Appeal, Justice Monica Dongpam Mensam, has asked parties and their councils to move all appeals arising from election petitions across the country to the Abuja and Lagos divisions of the Appellate Court. The order affects governorship, national and state assemblies elections, which held between February and March 2023. Although the appeals from the various state tribunals are supposed to be heard across the 20 appellate courts in the country, only 2 divisions of the court would preside over the election appeals. Sources at the Court of Appeal said the Abuja division will handle appeals from 19 northern states, while 17 southern states cases will be heard in Lagos. The directive was issued following allegations and petitions against state tribunal judges. Some political parties and their candidates had alleged that the judges at the state tribunals had been compromised by governors. Parties and their councils are set to be complying with the fresh directive and moving their files to the 2 cities despite the huge costs. Moving away from those judicial issues, Kingsley Moghalu has recommended a 50% cut in salaries and allowances of political office holders and members of the National Assembly owing to the economic hardships in the country. The economist, who is a former deputy central bank governor, said despite the hardships facing Nigeria in the wake of the petroleum subsidy removal, the country's governance culture encourages extravagance among political leaders and appointees, while citing some Scandinavian countries where their leaders take mass transits and even ride bicycles to work. Moghalu argued that Nigeria's governance culture puts self-service above people's service. Moghalu wondered why everybody in the country wants a siren and a long convoy, berating the political leaders for not replicating what they see in developed countries in Nigeria. He faulted the country's quest for more loans, saying the monies are not used for the right reasons. And government has been urged to build more community health facilities and employ health practitioners that would attend to pregnant women during antenatals and baby delivering so as to reduce the rate of maternal mortality in the country. A gynecologist and consultant with the Plateau State Specialist Hospital, Dr. Golit Williams Nengak, made the call in an exclusive interview with our correspondent, Nasiba Adam Idris, to mark this year's Pregnancy and Infant Loss Remembrance Day. Pregnancy and Infant Loss Remembrance Day is observed annually on the 15th of October. The day aimed at raising awareness about the emotional and psychological challenges faced by those who have experienced pregnancy and infant losses and to promote support and compassion within communities. The theme for this year's Baby Loss Awareness Week is Stepping Stones. After pregnancy loss, life can take a path that was never expected. Dr. Nengak, while highlighting some common causes of maternal mortality in Nigeria, explained that lack of educational and financial empowerment and the fact that women can't take decisions for themselves on pregnancy-related issues contributed to the problem.
When they are pregnant, they should attend antenatal care and get their problems sorted out antenatally. And those that cannot be taken care of antenatally, when they come in labor, they should be a skilled bed attendant to take care of it. They should not deliver at home. They shouldn't, the carcass should not be the one taking care of deliveries at home. There are people who are trained professionals to take care of those things. And where, for instance, a woman that has diabetes, she has hypertensive disorders of pregnancy, her child is likely going to suffer some kind of problems after birth. We should have neonatologists, that is, doctors who are trained to take care of babies, should be there to take care of those babies. Otherwise, baby might die, mother might die. And these are some of the factors.
On how to prevent maternal mortality, Dr. Nengak advised pregnant women to always attend antenatal so as to get good care from professionals.
That is when women begin to bleed when they come to deliver. Those kind of things could actually lead to the death of the women. You look at infection, serious sepsis. You look at problems like hypertensive disorders of pregnancy, eclampsia, pre-eclampsia. You look at problems of complicated, prolonged obstructed labor. You look at problems of septic abortions. And of course, you look at problems such as HIV, malaria in pregnancy, anemia, and what have you.
The consultant also stressed the need to keep women alive so as to keep the next generation in progression. Moving on, a man said to be popularly known as Denzo was stabbed to death on Sunday, 15 October 2023 at Angwan Miengo area of Tudunwada, Jos, around the hours of 12 noon. The deceased was said to have had an altercation with another man before his demise. The friends of the other man, on sighting the deceased, pounded on him, and eventually one of them pulled out a knife and stabbed him to death. He was left bleeding on the ground by the assailants, and the residents rushed to help. He was first taken to Akwai Clinic, but the clinic asked them to take him to a bigger hospital. On their way to Plateau Specialist Hospital, he gave up the ghost. Tudunwada broadcast reports that currently 4 arrests have been made and an investigation is ongoing. The residents of the area, however, are not at ease and business is not flowing as usual due to the tension generated by the incident. Efforts to hear from the Plateau State Police Command spokesperson Alfred Alabo proved abortive. And that tragic story takes us to the foreign scene, where British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak on Monday condemned some incidents at pro-Palestinian marches in Britain this weekend as simply not acceptable after police made several arrests. London's Metropolitan Police Force said on Sunday evening that 15 people were arrested at Saturday's pro-Palestinian protest in the center of the British capital. 3 men were subsequently charged with committing crimes, including a 68-year-old man suspected of making racist comments. The other two were charged with illegal knife possession and failing to remove a face covering. Tens of thousands of people demonstrated in London and other UK cities in support of Palestinians on Saturday, a week after Hamas gunmen launched the deadliest ever attack on Israel after crossing the border from Gaza. Hamas killed more than 1,400 people and took dozens more hostage. Israel declared war on Hamas the next day, unleashing a relentless bombing campaign of Gaza that has flattened neighborhoods and left at least 2,750 people, mainly civilians, dead in the territory. The UK government and British police have said that they have noted a spike in anti-Semitic crime and incidents in Britain since the Hamas attack. We'll now look at sports. In a thrilling encounter on Monday, the Super Eagles of Nigeria emerged victorious against Mozambique with a 3-2 scoreline. The feat marks Nigeria's first victory in a friendly game in 5 years. Mozambique initially took the lead 7 minutes into the game with a goal from Geni Katamo, creating concerns that Nigeria's winless streak in friendly matches might persist. However, OGC Nice's Terem Murphy leveled the score with a close-range shot 13 minutes later. Nigeria continued to dominate, and Brentford's Frank Onyeka seized an opportunity at the half-hour mark, firing a shot from the edge of the box to give the Super Eagles a 2-1 lead. The members of Mozambique then conceded a penalty after a handball in the 18-yard box. Simon Moses converted the penalty, securing Nigeria's 3rd goal. The first half ended with a comfortable lead for Jose Peseiro's team, marking a significant and long-awaited victory in friendly matches. And that sports story ends the news on Unity TV. Thank you very much for watching. On behalf of the entire production crew, my name is Shoaib Doro.